Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Dear Gwitch everyone, Kajima Tashiv, and welcome back to episode number 85, I think, of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline G. Mwah. Hello, you gorgeous, lovely lot. I can't see yous, but I can feel yous. I know who's watching. It's such a strange thing to podcast to a camera, but I know who's listening. The people that reach out every week, I love yous and I can feel yous. And I've had a gin as well, so I'm feeling things I shouldn't be feeling. And here, speaking of feeling things, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Now, if you're listening to this on Valentine's night itself, on Friday the 14th, that gin's gorgeous. You're probably a bit like myself. And you're having zero fucking luck with the members of your desired sex. Or here, maybe not. Maybe you're having loads of luck. Maybe you're doing great. Maybe you're beating them off with a shitty stick, and instead you came here to listen to my voice because it's sexier. This is my actual accent, by the way. I don't put this on. Call me. But here, if you're feeling a bit down about being on your own on Valentine's night, come in with me. Now, I'm not there on Valentine's night. This is recorded 2 days before, but I will be very lonely on Valentine's night, so I'm going to pretend it's Valentine's night anyway. And we're going to get through this together, guys. And look, I'm even dressed in my date clothes. I've got my date clothes on. I've got my wee jumper on that I always wear on first dates. It's got the mouse on it, the beloved German cartoon character. If you don't know who the mouse is, go check out the episode with Marianne Buslechner, the wonderful, gorgeous, amazing principal flute of the Vidier Funkhouse Orchestra. Also the model for the Inline G merch range. Brilliant flute player. She talks all about the mouse in her episode. Brilliant. Go check it out. And I've got a wee hat on, which has an Irish slogan on the front in Irish, but if you translate it to English, it says, a country without a language is a country without a soul. Up here, that's a wee starting point of the date, and then down there is just a wee thing for the German girls. And how many times have I wore this date on a jumper? None. Fuck all. Zero. I'm not even getting dates at the minute, lads. It's bad out here. It's bad out here. Here, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, huh? So, it goes to show, lads, even international sex symbols like old Inline G here go through a dry patch. It's okay. So I'm here to sort yours and mine Valentine's Day blues out. So today on the menu, I've got a very special episode. A very, very special episode. I'll be going through why you, yes, you, dear listener, are irresistible to the members of your desired sex because you can play the flute. And I don't mean that flute. I mean, you can play the flute and it's sexy. And I'm going to tell you why. And if you can't play the flute and you're listening to this podcast, I've got slots for online lessons. I've got two slots. So if you want to come and learn the flute and get the ride and get the smooch, come on ahead. Also, I should probably prerequisite, that's not the right word. I've had a gin, lads, fucking. Riding. I've said before in this podcast, riding is the colloquial term that we use in Ireland for having sex. It is gender neutral. Women and men both use it. Riding is a wonderful word. It's very relaxed. It's not a swear word. So you'll be hearing me talk a lot about riding. Or you can say you got the ride, or you want to get the ride. Or you can say your man is a ride, or your woman is a ride, which means they're very attractive, which is probably what you're thinking right now. Your man is a ride, and thank you. Tell the girls of Germany that, for fuck's sake. Anyway, no more. So, also I should say, if my grandparents are listening to this episode, I warned you already, please turn it off. This is not for you. Go watch a John Wayne film instead and come back next week. If my grandmother sees this episode, she will be on the first flight over to Cologne to hang me out to dry tomorrow morning. So turn it off, please. Sorry, Nan and Granda, turn it off. Now, what else am I going to do? I'm going to give you guys a confidence boost. Okay, I'm going to give you the confidence boost you need for dating. And I'm also going to tell you exactly how to use your flute to charm the person of your desires. Like one of those wee snakes coming out of a wicker basket in an Indiana Jones film. And I've even had some input from the flute community on their dating success stories, thanks to our sexy phallic friends here. The flute can do wonders for you, lads, if you just let it. Now, it's a wine journey of an episode. I've poured myself a gin and slimline tonic for the occasion, so let's get tore in here. Or as my old rugby coach used to say, straight in, Housty, no kissing. Also, I wish someone would call me Housty again. I haven't had that since I was 12. And I broke my rugby coach's heart by quitting the rugby team to go play in the orchestra. Which, when I said I'm quitting the rugby team to join the orchestra, my rugby coach heard I'm a homosexual. Right, anyway. He was an old-fashioned man. So, Lads, I've talked at length on this podcast about why musicians are sexier than your average Joe, your average normal musician. And do you know what, lads? I'll do it again. Because right, I always think back, as I often do, to School of Rock, the greatest film ever made. And there's that bit where Tamika says she won't sing. And she's like, why won't you sing? She goes, because I'm fat. And then Jack Black goes on this whole thing. And he's like, what? He doesn't actually say, you're not fat. He says, there's nothing wrong with it. And he's like, look at Aretha Franklin. She's a big lady, but when she sings, she blows people's minds. Everyone wants to party with Aretha. And then he goes, do you know who else has a weight issue? Me. But I get up on stage, I start doing my thing. People worship me, man, because I'm sexy and chubby. I love doing American accents. Now, Jack Black makes a great point, as he always does. Just by being a musician, you are automatically sexy. Automatically. You're straight into that category. You're straight out of the championship into the Champions League. You're in. Look at Meatloaf. Look at that man. If he wasn't a musician, he looks like the kind of person who'd be going around asking farmers if he can stand in their field to scare crows off. But he starts singing and everyone wants to ride him because it's Meatloaf, man. He would do anything for love and we would all do anything for him. And classical music is the same. There are some absolute fucking feat of people out there who are with some gorgeous partners purely because being a musician is sexy. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. I won't say who, obviously, looks like a foot, but you know who. You know who. I'm not that drunk. But why are musicians sexy? Easy, lads, easy. Here's a whole list of them. Also, video watchers, you'll notice my eyes are going that way as well. Celtic are playing Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and still 0-0, but I'm hoping Celtic get a goal here. So if I race off in celebration, Celtic are beating the Germans. Anyway, why are musicians sexy? Let's get into it. You know the answer already, but I'm telling you so you hear it again. Maybe you need to hear it again. Remember this, okay? Passion and emotional depth. There's the first place to start. There's no emotionally stunted man-childs here. Well, there is a few actually in the music industry, but there shouldn't be, because we can express some deep feelings through our music. Hubba hubba. Grr. And we at least seem sensitive and romantic. We at least seem it. We can play the part. You should be. If you're a good musician, you should be sensitive and romantic. Dedication and mastery. The time and dedication it takes to hone your craft and really refine your art. It lines up well with the skills needed for a relationship. It shows dedication. It shows willingness to work. It shows attention to detail. It shows all the things that people want in a partner. It's sexy. Intelligence. Lads, we all know musicians are smarter. Although some of the ones across the pond, I'm not so sure. But anyway, it's been long shown, like there is lots of studies in this, that musicians show higher cognitive function and creativity due to playing their instrument. You can think outside the box and bring new perspectives. That's what we do. That's our whole thing, is thinking outside the box and bringing new perspectives, especially as classical musicians. Like, that's some of the ideas I've had to be doing in the bedroom over the year. Some of the ideas I've said to wee girls in the bedroom, try this. Fuck me, lads, if I told you go blind hearing it. Also, social magnetism. Now, here, we are confident fuckers. We normally are, because if you can get up on a stage in front of people and enjoy doing it, you are confident. You have that thing that gets people going. And there are a few things in this world hotter than confidence. We all know that. We're charismatic wee rides. That's all we are, lads. And physically, actually, to be honest, we tend to have good postures as well, especially flute players. The flute requires very controlled breathing, which does generally give a good posture and good body language and good open chest and all these things that set example. I'm a wee bit of a bad example. I have the shoulders of a crackhead playing darts, but the rest of you, I'm sure, have wonderful postures. We're also mysterious. I'm sure you all know this. Oh, what a save! Fuck, sorry. We're mysterious bastards here, lads. You think of the artist getting lost in their art. It all looks passionate and cool and wistful. We're those. We can play the role anyway. And lastly, and most importantly for today, we can serenade people with our instruments. Here, lads, people have been using music to get the ride for millennia. Millennia. People have been playing an instrument just to get their hold. It's a tale as old as time, lads. Playing your instrument to get someone to ride you. There's no older story in the world than that one. Like the oldest flute, the oldest instrument in the world is a Neanderthal flute that's 60,000 years old. And you just know, some fella made it to try and get some big titty goth Neanderthal. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Big titty nuts. We're going to talk about how to use your flute to get some smooching. Mwah, mwah. But here, just quickly, I've got a wee sidetrack for you. I hope you don't mind if I take you down this path. If I just take you down this road that I've opened up. Because it's relevant, but it's unnecessary, but I'm going to do it. And it is a bit of an elephant in the room here, lads. Now, there is a reason why the flute in particular is sexy. Okay? And you all know what I'm about to say here, but it looks like a looter. It looks like a Johnson. It looks like a Williard. It looks like your wire. It looks like a dick. We all know this. You know, the correct term for that, instead of looter, Johnson, Williard, and wire, is phallic. The flute is a phallic shape. And here, lads, let's pretend it's not. Alright? We all know what the score is here. Anyone who has ever been on a dating app and said that they're a flute player will know rightly what I'm on about here. You know rightly. Lads, I'm on the dating apps now. Again, having fuck all luck on them, but I'd say 95% of the girls I match with will make a joke about the flute. Something about, oh, you can play the flute, you can blow well, can you use your fingers? Ha ha ha. You hear them all. Although, I'll tell you a funny story. I went home to Belfast over Christmas and I went on the app store for a wee while and I matched with a girl on one of the apps. And her first message to me was replying to the photo where I had my flute, and she just typed out, orange bastard. Which honestly, class. I fell in love with her. That's it. Oh. And if you don't understand that reference, get educated. How many times have I told you about Irish politics in this podcast? Come on, lads. Read a history book. Now, this has been historic, okay? The flute and this phallic thing and all the assumptions that come with it. And it's still relevant today because the flute was always highly male dominated. Okay, lads played the flute. And that's still kind of the case today, as we all know. If we look at the major principal flute positions across the world, or the percentage of people that are employed who identify as male as opposed to the percentage of people who study at third level education, it's wild, the differentiation there. The flute is still viewed as a lad's instrument, and there's a paradox here with that. I don't know if you guys found this, because I read these facts and I'm going, how does the flute being phallic make you more masculine? Because you're sort of thinking, like, how does a bunch of lads blowing on something that looks like a dick make them look more masculine? Because traditionally, especially hundreds of years ago, anything to do with homosexuality was viewed as less masculine, more feminine. So how does that work out? But apparently, because I did some research for the first time ever, apparently playing the flute was seen as a sign of virility. So, like, I found this thing about a fellow called Richard Leppert. He wrote, I hope that's how you pronounce it. Richard, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But he is an art critic, and he was writing about some 18th century paintings, and he said, the flute's phallic associations, no secret to the 18th century, provide reasons for its inclusion, especially in the hands of the heir. In portraits of upper-class males during this period, it is far more common to represent them holding flutes, but less so for other instruments. So there you are. And he also said, of all musical instruments associated with males and culturally sanctioned as such, flutes were specifically viewed as improper for women, precisely because of the visual sexual metaphor the instrument implied. Here, guys, I couldn't disagree more. I think you all look great. All right? And lads too, you all look great. Here, you're all looking wonderful, right? Keep it up. Now, another fella, Kurt Sachs, he wrote a book in the 1940s about musical instruments in general, and he wrote this about the flute. He said, flutes, like bone scrapers, are phallic. Primitive man cannot overlook the resemblance between a pierced, straight instrument and the penis. Early civilizations where the masculine impulse predominates connect the ideas flute, phallus, fertility, life, rebirth, and they associate flute playing with innumerable phallic ceremonies and with fertility in general. Now, I'm looking at that going, surely we can all not identify the flute with a dick. But here, lads, you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong because, again, go on to a dating app. Tell anyone who's not a musician that you play the flute and watch them fight the urge to make a joke about playing the flute. That will never die. That's been happening for 40,000 years. Again, that big titty goth Neanderthal probably made the same joke about it. You gonna play that? Or are you gonna use it? Is that a flute in your pants? Are you happy to see me? That here. How many times have you heard that one? Fuck's sake. Now, there is another reason actually why girls didn't play the flute. Not just because of the sexual metaphor, the visual sexual metaphor that was implied. For a while, the flute was deemed inappropriate for women because of the ugly faces it made. Anyway. So, to back this up with actual knowledge, actual research, a lad called W.N. James wrote in 1826, it can hardly be recommended or expected that the professors of fair faces and soft swelling lips should consent to puff out the one or conceal the other by the use of the flute. Here, he hasn't seen some of the girls play the flute these days. Oh my god. Oh mummy. I'm not gonna say who now, but you know rightly, lads, you look about some of the girls playing the flute these days and you think they don't look great. They don't look. I think the flute's one of the sexiest instruments in the way we play it. Like, okay, the oboe, you get that big fucking neck and all, you look awful. Clarinet, nah, alright. Anything brass, not sexy at all. You sound like buffoons. Violin, maybe, but they're a bit too dramatic. And cello, honestly, I know everyone loves a cello. The cello's for wankers. It's a wanker instrument for wanker people. Every cellist I've ever met is a wanker. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, that's a wee side note. So, listen, lads, we need to get back into the important stuff here. We're going to talk about how you can blow down your phallic flute to get yourself smooched. Fuck, I forgot to do Patreon. Sorry, give me money for the Patreon. No, I'm joking. Okay, I need to do a Patreon read, lads. Sorry, I was meant to do that before this, but okay, Patreon. The Inline G podcast is free and always will be free. That is a motherfucking guarantee. But if you wish to donate to the podcast, you can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute podcast. That gin is fucking lovely. It costs €5 a month. And with that, you're genuinely keeping this podcast alive. I know I sound like a broken record here, lads, but I cannot stress this enough how much this means to me. So, I do everything on this podcast on my own. Audio production, video production, marketing, graphic design, script writing, travel, interviews. Every single aspect of this is done by me. I buy all the equipment. I have to learn how to use it. This is the definition of a small independent podcast. Fuck the big podcasts. Also, we are now the #1 flute podcast in the world by a couple of measurable things. The #1, and we have zero marketing budget. And I say we, because it is we. We're in this together, lads. The patrons especially. You are the guys that are keeping this going. You donate to it, you build it up, you share it on your profiles, you get the word out. It's one lad, it's a one-man band with all his groupies. And we're doing this. You think of all the big flute companies that have started podcasts at some point and then disappeared, or the big flute shops who have this massive team and budget behind them. We're kicking all their asses, and it's just the wee flute podcast that could. That's because of you. Because when you guys donate to the podcast, I don't need sponsors. I can tell sponsors to go and fuck themselves because they won't want me to talk about mental health, or they don't want me to do this episode, that's for fucking sure, and they don't want me to talk about Palestine. So they won't support the episodes. But you guys, you support the episodes, you get the content you want, and you're supporting us. So here's the crack. If you can afford to donate €5 a month, or whatever that is in your currency, please do. It's incredibly appreciated. I cannot tell you how you're keeping this podcast going and making it thrive. We're going to the moon here, lads. This is early days yet in this podcast. I've got some big things planned. So if you can afford it, do it. Full honesty here, full transparency, you don't get anything for it, okay? Because I really believe that this podcast, everyone should be getting the podcast for free. You shouldn't have to pay for it. People use this for academic research sometimes, which I'm not sure if you should be doing that, lads, but don't quote me, alright? But use it as a starting point, maybe. But yeah, we can use it for that. So if you can afford to donate to it, please do, but you won't get anything else. You won't get anything added to it, okay? Everyone should get it for free. If you can afford it, you're basically supporting the podcast. If you can't afford it, you're a musician. Here, I know, times are hard. That's grand. Don't worry, you can listen entirely for free. You get all the same content as everyone else. It's a system based on kindness and soundness. If you can afford to pay for it, you're paying for someone who can't. Thank you very much. I honestly love you. You're my Valentine, dear patrons. You are my Valentine. Mwah. Now, lads, playing the flute for a date. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I've never played the flute for a date. Ever. I know. I'm as surprised as you are here. Maybe that's why my dating has been a fucking disaster. And I've never even played for a partner. I've had long-term relationships. I've never deliberately played just for them. I mean, they've came to concerts a little bit. And I mean, a little bit, fucking hell. Half the reason why I think... Anyway, I'm not here to air my dirty laundry, but you should be go to your partner's fucking concerts, alright? Go support them. There's nothing worse than doing a concert and having no one come to it of your mates when they're in the area. But anyway, I've never played for a romantic partner. I've never been asked to play, and I always feel it's weird to do. But I might be changing that. I'd love someone to ask me, to be honest. But anyway, what I did do is I went to ChatGPT because I'm a lazy bollocks, and I asked ChatGPT, what do you do if you're nervous to play the flute on a date? Are you ready for this, lads? So, acknowledge that playing for a romantic interest can feel more nerve-wracking than performing for an audience. Here's some practical tips. Choose a piece you're confident with. Keep it simple. Expressiveness is more important than difficulty. Focus on the emotion behind the music rather than technical perfection. And if nerves kick in, take deep breaths and remind yourself it's about connection, not impressing. Now, lads, can I say, by the way, I got that from ChatGPT. That is beautiful, and that actually is so accurate to everything about performing, not just performing for a date. Anytime you perform, you should be doing that, concentrating on the emotion. That will help you get over nerves in general. I always find that worked for me. When I go into a situation where I'm very nervous about performing, I try to close my eyes and get into the emotion of the music and just hold on to that one thing. Generally, when you're performing, you can have one conscious thought, and then, the wee monkey with the cymbals is doing everything else up in your brain. You have one conscious thing to focus on. I would normally just go emotion. I wouldn't pick a technical thing on the instrument and say I'm going to try and capture the feeling. And with that, it makes me relax a lot more because it's much easier to do that. And I know I can do it. But, so the last thing I'd say was also share a lighthearted story about a flutist who played for a crush, or even a funny disaster story. Now, this is where you, dear listener, come in, because I went to social media and I asked for your date stories. So here we are, lads. After this, you can tell me which one I need to do in my next date to get some fucking luck around here. Because Jesus Christ, lads, it's getting ridiculous around here. I'm not going to tell you about all the dates I go on, but there's not many of them, and they're not going anywhere. I'll tell you that. Anyway, first person replied to the story. Flute hasn't helped my love life at all. Full stop. There we are. Fucking hell. Right, that's it. See you next week, lads. Back to the pocket. That's the end of this week's episode. Go fuck yourselves. All them dumb straight boys on the apps always say, you must be so good with your mouth/lips. I get that as a lad from women, and it's funny because, it's not really a big deal when you're a lad. I cannot imagine how female flute players feel going onto these apps and saying you play the flute. Oh my God. And yeah, another one. And or you could play my special flute, my flesh flute, my magic flute. That is honestly disgusting. And you're not gonna go down on a lad's looter like a flute, are you? You put the two hands on it and put the thumbs down the back. Oh God, sorry, I've had a gin. But here's some nice stories. My hubby was allowed to marry me when my friends saw him weeping when I played. Now that's beautiful. Getting married because your friends saw him crying when he was playing the flute. That's a beautiful story. Also, lads, I thought these were going to be funny stories. A lot of them are actually very sweet, and you're making me more fucking depressed about my situation in the minute. Fuck you guys. Here's a famous one, actually. Married a flute player. The flute brought us together, teaching on a flute-wise course. That's Gareth McLernan, and he's totally fine with me saying this, don't worry. But yeah, Gareth, who obviously is now divorced from Abigail, or Abby, but they're still friends. They play a lot together. They're colleagues, and yeah, they recorded something together, actually, recently, Gareth was telling me. So, yeah. He had a proper big flute wedding and all. It was amazing. So there you are. You can find love on the flute courses as well. There's plenty of love to be found out there, lads. You just have to go looking for it. Next reply, this one time at band camp. Fuck me. It's also been brought to my attention, lads. This is very important. It's been brought to my attention that not everybody knows what that reference is. If you're under the age of 25, apparently you might not know that reference. Guys, I cannot stress enough how much you need to know this. This was defining of flute players from the 90s onwards. Until now, you're the only ones that don't know this. American Pie, one of my comfort movies. Problematic in so many ways, okay? But put it on with the lens of the 90s. A very famous scene featuring a flute. And it pretty much pops up in every single American Pie afterwards. But American Pie 1, that is one of the most famous pop culture references to the flute. I get it every time. If I meet someone who's over the age of 25 and I mention the flute, that's what I get said. Straight away, this one time at band camp. It's great. I love it. Yep, someone else comes in. Every grinder conversation now begins with a miscellaneous blowing pun. Shite. Double tonguing is a useful skill to play marriage a figure overture and to seduce your partner. I don't know if this person means using your double tonguing in two different ways, or if they mean using your double tonguing to play marriage a figure overture by Mozart to impress your date by the double tonguing. Then they go, right, I have to ride that. You hear that double tonguing there? Fuck me. I think it's the former. Someone also, obviously I'll say this person, but I'm about to get engaged to a guy I met in a chamber group in undergrad. How fucking cool is that? That's so sweet. It's also sickening. It's fucking sickening. Screw you guys. But anyway, okay, again, I put this on Facebook as well, into the infamous Flute Forum group. It's a miracle how they're still letting me in there, but anyway. And I got some lovely stories. They're actually beautiful. Yolanda here says, my husband and I met in eHarmony. I know it sounds cheesy, but in May we'll be married 15 years. One of my photos showed me playing flute in an orchestra. His profile said he had a music degree from UAF and he'd been a music director. He saw the flute pic and told his mom, that's the girl. We went on our first date in September, we're engaged in October, and the wedding was in May. Music is what brought us together, and we still play in a band together that's been going for about 10 years, and we also play flute and guitar together. So yes, my flute did help get us together, and I played for him early on in our relationship. I still do today, and he plays for me. Isn't that fucking... Jesus Christ, fuck you guys. Happy bastards. Yeah. Hi Gareth, I've played for my spouse many times over the past 37 years. He particularly likes it when I play Irish tunes. He does, however, close the door to his office when I practice in our living room. My favourite romantic songs are mostly contemporary love songs that are not specifically for the flute. A couple of pieces that first come to mind are Chaminade's Concertino and Annie's Song. Annie's Song, oh lads. That is... I hope that young people today have got over that, where they didn't hear, they're not so overexposed to it that Annie's Song has become a bit of a meme. But when Jimmy recorded Annie's Song, James Galway got into Top of the Pops with it. It is a beautiful song, and it sounds better on flute than when John Denver sings it. There you are. There you are. That's what I'll say. These stories are beautiful. You know, this is a bit off base, but maybe you can use it somehow. My son is going to play his flute for my wedding in May, and I'm researching romantic songs right now. He'll play while people arrive, and I'm having him write a song for me to walk down the aisle. So technically it's not him playing for his partner, but for his mum and her partner. That is unbelievably cute. This is so cute. I think I played at my mum's wedding. I probably did. It's so cute. Honestly, you're making me all fucking sick. You're making me sick because I don't have anybody. God damn it. I sound desperate. I'm not. I just fucking... We're not going to get into this. Oh, God damn it. You think a man like me, you know, a humble man who likes gin as much as I do. Anyway, lads, I'm brainstorming ideas for myself here. I'm thinking out loud. So here's what's coming next. What to play on the date. Okay, so you've got out of Bumble and you moved into WhatsApp. The big moment you say, here, do you mind if we slip into something more comfortable? And you take the conversation into WhatsApp. You've already found out their favourite dinosaur. You've had the 4 awkward pints on date number 1, and now it's time. It's now time to bring them round to the Love Palace. So you've had a few glasses of Beaujolais. You've deliberately left the flute out just in the corner. That's what I do. Just leave it sitting over there. Just in case they go, oh, what's that? And then they go on, Tiger, give us a tune. I'd love to be called Tiger. Fuck. I was talking with a friend recently about great, like, what do you call that? Not nicknames, but pet names for partners. I would love to be called Tiger. Tiger's class. Like Mary Jane, isn't it, in Spider-Man? Go get him, Tiger. Ah. Although I love Pet, but I like it in a Belfast accent. It's a great one. Although the best one, Trouble. I had a girl once who called me Trouble, and the melting out of it, she goes, oh, there's Trouble. But you used it all the time, me. Anyway. So, go on, Tiger, give us a tune. What are you going to play? Lads, what are you going to play for them? What flute piece? Now, here we are. I'm going to start early on. You might not like this. Don't play Syrinx. Or Syrinx. Do not fucking play Syrinx. Do not play L'après-midi. Don't play any of that fucking shite, okay? One, also, because I don't want to get into the story too much, but you know the story of Pan. It's pervy. It's weird. Don't do it, okay? Way too many weird things going on, and the music is not sexy music for people that don't know classical music. Just don't do it, all right? You're not going to get any riding if you start playing strings for a date, okay? That's that done. Okay, now next. Here's my top ones. This is the kind of thing I would play, okay? Now, as I said, I haven't gotten around to actually doing this yet, but I've played for mates. I've played for friends. So this is what I would normally go to impress people. I've played for like family members and stuff, for things like that. And lads, by the way, it's never bad to have a tune in your pocket. Okay, have it memorized. Always have it memorized. Don't be fucking getting sheet music and all out. Have a tune memorized at all times. That's something you should be doing. Use it as your warm-up. Okay, that's what I do a lot. I have so many wee tunes that are just stuck in my head. I use them as warm-ups. If someone asks me to play it, I can bring it out. I know that we do not have 200 tunes in our head as classical musicians that, you know, other genres do. But the solution to that, you only need 2. 3 at most. Wee short tunes and you're grand. So the ones I would have, the slow movement from the Gounod Petite Symphonie. Beautiful wee tune. Beautiful wee melody. Gorgeous. Meditation from Thais by Massenet. Like that's oof. One of my favourites, I think, for really beautiful music and works so well on the flute is Pavane pour une enfant défunte by Ravel. So the Pavane, Ravel's Pavane. Okay, you find that. Oh my god, That is, that tune on Flute. Maggie recorded it on her first album when she was very young, and it's like butter. It's like hot French butter. That song on Flute, or that tune. So they're the big three. Now I have two secret weapons. Two secret weapons. If I need to bring them out on the date, I know it's going to work. Number one, don't shoot me here. Lord of the Rings. Concerning hobbits from Lord of the Rings. Now, lads, I'm telling you, you play that for someone who's not a musician, you are getting your parking validated that night, if you know what I mean. I'm telling you. All right? Now, I have another one. I have a big one. Because I do play up to the Irish thing quite a lot. And it is actually one of my favourite songs. It's a wee slow number. It's one for crying too. And it's a little song called County Down. Now, not to be confused with the star of the County Down. It's a song called County Down by Tommy Sands. I actually heard it for the first time on True's album, TRU, who Zach, my best mate, he was on this podcast way back in the early days. They recorded it on No Fixed Abode. And it's a solo from Donal, the singer, who has the most beautiful voice. I'm telling you, I used to tour with True. No matter where we went in the world, the minute Donal started singing that, every girl in the room fell in love with him. You wouldn't believe it. The control he had. So it's a beautiful, beautiful wee song. Okay. Tommy Sands himself, he wrote it. It's from Mayo Bridge, which is in County Down. And the song itself, it tells the story of like a young man that moves away to London because there's no work in Ireland, and he had to move to London to get it, which is still a very accurate story. And his father is speaking to him, or writing a letter to him, saying that when he's walking through the streets of London and he hears noises, or he hears the wind blowing, or the different things of the city at night, the strange noise he hears is actually not the wind, it's his father saying, come back to County Down, calling him home. And the last verse of it actually is, I'm always dreaming that things are changing and that they're building a factory tall, and young ones needed again in Newry, but still I need you most of all. Come on home to the County Down. It's, oh lads, I gotta tell you how beautiful. Fuck, can I play it? It's 10 o'clock. I can play it a wee bit, right? I'll play it a wee bit for you. The melody is just, it's pure. Oh, anyway, I'll not build this up too much because my neighbours are gonna fucking hate me for this. But fuck it. I know you shouldn't say that about your own playing, but that song. I'm not saying about my playing, I'm saying about that song. Isn't it? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, that song. Isn't it a fucking miracle that I'm still single? A fucking miracle. How can anyone resist that? Jesus Christ. So, lads, that's the end of it. Alright? That's the end of the podcast. Go and try something out. For the love of fuck, alright? Life's too short to be on your own, okay? There's only so much wanking one man can do. Go out there. Go use your flute for something pleasant, okay? You're a musician. Share your music with other people. All joking aside, I know this is a very jokey podcast episode, and I'm drunk, but use your flute to connect with people. That is what it's for. Oh my God, the sadness I get when people don't want to do concerts or don't want to play for their friends or family. Go and share it. You kind of have an obligation to. If you can do it, people want to hear it. People love hearing music. And I remember... Fuck, I'm never going to end this episode. I remember when I was in Paris and Zach came over and I got robbed one night, which is, robbed. Robbed's a strong word. I give a man my credit card and he took it and cleaned me out for 20,000 euros, which I didn't have. But anyway, I had my credit card stolen, let's say that. And the next day, I had no way of receiving money from the UK at all. Like, I was fucked. Or from Ireland. No way getting money over. Zach was there, and he was like, well, here, we're musicians. Let's just go out to the street and play a few tunes. We'll make enough money for dinner. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. Everyone wants to hear music. You can always make money playing music, and you can always make a connection playing a few tunes. And it was true. We raised enough money to buy 2 bottles of wine and a dinner each. So, here, it worked. I didn't find love, but sure, that's it. Anyway, lads, good luck to yous. Alright? Go out and make some connections. Do me proud. And I'll see yous all next week for the Carnival episode. I love yous all, lads. Slán go fáil. Look after yourselves. Mwah.
Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Crocky heart le druids powdered part of a nail